Praise be and welcome to another episode of the Lunch Table Podcast. In this episode, of course, we're going to review The Handmaid's Tale episode 6. If you guys like this video, please remember to like and share, perhaps, and also check out our other reviews. We just reviewed Andor. We hope you guys enjoy the content. But Dylan, this episode was really crazy. A lot of twists happened along the way. I just want to get right into it, so tell me your thoughts.
Well, praise be, everyone. Yeah, this episode had me on the edge of my fucking seat, to be honest with you. It was great. So many twists and turns in this episode, and there's so many great parallels between characters, and that ending, that really shocked me. So yeah, what were your thoughts on episode 6?
This was an intense episode. I really thought some people were gonna die, like Luke perhaps. And actually we get a lot more insight on Serena. That's the thing, a lot of characters are kind of evolving. They're realizing a lot of stuff, like Serena or even Aunt Lydia, right? And June, man, she is such a badass. We start off, finally we get the reveal of who captured June and Luke, and I wanted to get your initial thoughts on that whole scene where they're caged up.
Yeah, I mean, like I was saying in the last review, it was really heartfelt that they got separated, but they're still kind of together. They were trapped in this truck, and it's revealed that it's actually well, it was weird. They said it wasn't Gilead, but it was Mr. Wheeler's men, the guy who's letting Serena in his house, Commander Wheeler. So yeah, they find them in no man's land, and they bring them to this kind of I guess you could call it a detention center, I guess, where they're capturing runaway handmaids or something. But it was a really sweet moment, and Luke, I love his character, man. I feel bad for him because he's trying his hardest, because he felt so much regret about not doing more about, finding June. So I think that's why he's trying so hard to be I guess proactive and oh yeah, we should do this. But June is just calm down. It's okay. I've been through this. I survived. So I know what we need to do and just relax. But yeah, he's really trying to step up. And then Serena also, yeah, like you said, we saw she's kind of finally realizing the shit that's going on around her, and she's kind of going through a transformation of her ideologies, I guess, and Aunt Lydia as well. We see she's being very confronting towards the commanders, and then realizing that this whole system is kind of messed up. But yeah, what were your takeaways from this episode?
Yeah, well, first off, Gilead is becoming more and more shady each season. We're starting to realize that the commanders, they have their own vices, albeit sinful vices, and they all have their own game that they're playing. Obviously, Joseph Lawrence, he has his own game along with Nick. Putnam has his own game. Besides the actual detention center-esque type of place that June and Luke are in, we also see that Esther, McKenna Grace, is alive and kicking, and she has a baby in her. And holy shit, so I did not know that she was raped, unfortunately, by Putnam. And Aunt Lydia was so no, are you serious? Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
I think she knew. She kind of had
Really?
a feeling, but she was in denial about it. She was no. She's weird because she has a weird perspective on what she considers rape and what she considers, I guess, sacred, right?
Yeah.
Because technically they're all rape cases, but
Yeah.
she's oh well, he didn't do the ceremony, so it's considered rape.
Right.
But I think when she had that kind of moment with Esther, and first of all, McKenna Grace acted the shit out of that scene. Great performance from her. But yeah, it was kind of an epiphany for Aunt Lydia, right? And now she's kind of seeing the dark side of Gilead in a way, or at least a newfound perspective on Gilead.
I think she tried, to be honest, I think Aunt Lydia trusts the system that they wanted to create, right? Because it's not going out the way it's planned. And she's kind of devout to that. And I think she's probably the most loyal person to Gilead in terms of their rules and the religion in general than the commanders are. And her being a woman and kind of betraying, in a way, womanhood makes her realize certain things. I mean, she's still kind of like this villain, but, she's just trying to be as devout as she can be to God, or their version of God, and this religion that's set in Gilead. I feel really bad for Esther. And I wonder if she's gonna go into the mines. We seen more of that in the previous season, so I wonder if like eventually she'll go to the mines. I don't think this is gonna be the last we see of her. I think she's probably gonna resemble a lot of like Madeline Brewer's character. I forgot her name. Sorry. Um, kind of like, unfortunately, this kind of beat up dog, right? It's kind of sad to say, but like she's going through a lot of abuse, especially from a young age, or she could be very psychotic in the future. So we'll see eventually more of her. Also, I must say, yeah, Putnam's in big trouble throughout this episode. Serena also, she had a visit from a gynecologist in the house, and apparently the gynecologist was
It got really,
recommended to ask her out on a date. That was weird. So I
it
just
got
want to get
really
your thoughts on
spicy.
that.
Yeah, that was so. I felt I like honestly. Like I know I hate Serena, but I was like, damn, yeah, I felt so cringe when he asked.
Right.
Like I was like, oh yeah,
He was so
I'm kind
happy.
of busy next week. Maybe we can reschedule. That's so weird. Like imagine like
Yeah.
your gynecologist asked you out.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I think it lends to like kind of like what you were saying, like because about Analytic, how she's a woman, and now Serena, she's also a woman. It's interesting. Like now they're realizing the system that they've created isn't working in their favor now. So Serena, I loved her in this episode. Like she, her in this episode felt so much like June in season one. She was kind of like a prisoner in this house, and it was interesting because June is also a prisoner, right? But they have their own cages, right? So Serena in this episode, her prison is this house where she kind of feels like powerless, and like they're just telling her, yeah, just rest, relax, whatever. Um, so she feels kind of like helpless. She can't really do anything. Um, and that Mrs. Wheeler, she's like being really weird. She's like so like she's basically what Serena was in season one, right? She's like, no, go to your room, right? So I thought that was kind of like an ironic, tension there. Um, but then Mr. Wheeler reveals that to Serena that they've captured June, and then it leads to this great scene where Serena confronts June. And I saw this coming a mile away. I predicted this in the last episode. I was like, oh, maybe they're gonna team up or something, right? So I want to get your thoughts on that scene.
Yeah, that first of all, there were so many twists in that too, because from the start of the season, we've seen Serena with this devout bodyguard, right? Driving her everywhere. And yeah, they were supposed to execute June. Serena told June to pray. And June was like so tired of this bull. I feel so bad for June. She's just like so tired of this bullshit. She like really, and she goes like kneels
Really,
down.
Serena?
You're right, exactly. And also, so I was confused about this. I think this is a split minute decision for Serena, but Serena asks for the Glock the guy is holding, and she's like, it's okay, it's okay. And she grabs the Glock, and she's about to kill June. And in a split second decision, I think that she noticed her own womanhood. She remembers like how she's disrespecting this culture, right, that she was brought up from, how she's a backstabber to all women in general, and she feels like she needs to be a betrayer of like this side that she so happened to be a part of for so long. And so she shot the guy. She didn't kill him. He was wearing a Kevlar vest. And she was like, get up to June. And they drove off. Yeah.
Do you think if June had mentioned the baby that she would have went through with it?
That's a good point. Yeah, no, I think she would have went through with it if June hadn't mentioned a baby. I think she would have killed June. But then all of a sudden, see, that's the thing with Serena. She like, I love that her character remains the way how she like just thinks about the world and stuff in general. She's very like, she wants to be this great mother, and she's attracted to this idea. In fact, I guess this is how it kind of started. This is what she always wanted. And so she's realizing like once you went through it, now you realize, oh, this isn't so good, right? The people disrespecting you, like little microaggressions here and there later on, the men not taking you, or basically taking you for granted, and now having a baby in you. And Serena has such like a two-faced type of like thing going on in the beginning of this season, because she had Hannah there, right? It was like a disrespect. And now she's like, oh shit, well, I have my, and I'm doing this to another mother that I know, right? We had
Right.
some good times. Yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
No, those are great points, man. Yeah, I definitely agree. I think she's finally coming to terms with what womanhood is about, and she's kind of understanding now that like you said, she's kind of been betraying her own gender in a way, and she's kind of all this time been giving the keys to the kingdom to these men who are just using her for their advantages and kind of like using her methodologies on like feminism and like twisting it into their own kind of like dark power struggle, right? But yeah,
Mhm.
great scene, man. I kind of saw it coming, but at the same time I was like, oh, is she gonna go through with it? So that was a great scene. um, so yeah, I wonder what's gonna happen next episode. Maybe they'll try and like find Hannah or something. But also I wanted to get your thoughts on Mr. Putnam's or Commander Putnam's execution scene. 'Cause I didn't expect that this episode. Honestly, I thought he was gonna get like a slap on the wrist or some shit. But yeah, what were your thoughts on
It's hard to slap him in the wrist if he's missing one hand, right? So, well, you can use the other
it?
one, I guess. Yeah, no, that shocked me. Also, like the gall of this guy, like saying, like, what? He's so like he thinks he's so innocent,
Yeah.
right? He just shoots him in the head. It was pretty satisfying, I must admit. The wife, I wonder what's gonna be her thoughts in the next episode too, right? Like with the ramifications
Yeah.
of that. Probably she has to be
Mhm.
moved or like remarry really quickly. And the fact that again, man, Commander Lawrence, he is a strange character. I mean, he has his own game. You were talking a little about of type of reformation or something like that, right? Of Gilead and Nick and him. We're gonna work on that a little bit. But public executing a commander, I feel like that sends a strong message and perhaps a bad one because you're kind of empowering these handmaids that like wow no one can go against God, right? God sees everything and
Mhm.
God will punish a commander, so yeah, I better pay attention. So it kind of like cements the idea of like I should be obedient. And so it's kind of like a give and take type of thing situation, I think, for the public. What were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, Lawrence is a strange character. I think he's trying to slowly reform Gilead to how things were like in the beginning before Gilead. I think he's trying to modernize it because he understands that this system isn't working. It's too conservative to live on its own legs, so he's kind of trying to reform it and make it a little more socially acceptable. Because this whole New Bethlehem project is him like, oh, like we should let people in, and then they'll realize like what a good society we are, right? And I think maybe he kinda listened to Aunt Lydia and was like, well, yeah, obviously that scene, he was like, "Yeah, it's whatever." Um, I think in a strange way, he knew it was wrong too, so he's kinda, like, taking that into account, right? But I think for the most part, I think he saw Putnam as, like, competition because Putnam was kinda, like, shooting his ideas down, so maybe he just saw him as, like, a threat to his plans. So I think that's why he went through the execution, and I love that scene because like, you just saw, like, Putnam, like, laying on the wings of, like, Gillian. That was such, like, a great shot too, and Nick too. He was even involved with this, so I wonder if, like, Nick is also, like, working with Lawrence, like, closely because he mentioned to his wife too, he was like, "I'm trying to make this a better society for our baby to live in." So they're probably, like, working, like, hand in hand. Maybe they're working with Tuello too, to try and, like, reshape this, like, government infrastructure. But yeah, great, episode, man. What are your final thoughts and what would you rate this episode?
Yeah, I think that again they have to do something because this country would slowly downscale to a second world country or third world. It kind of reminds me of Cuba, like how the soldiers are and stuff like that, and the way how they treat citizens, and they don't want that whatsoever. So yeah, again, it's very conservative, so you kind of have to mix in other types of parties and ideologies. But I think that's a great threat too, and I think that could bring a civil war, right? That's going to threaten their prominent ideology. Yeah, man, I think that for the most part, this episode like hit all marks for me. I did not expect most of the stuff that happened. I felt really bad for Luke because Luke actually like he was like, "Wow, June, this is what you really went through, right?" No, this is only half of the story, right? I think the OT Fag Benil, whatever his name is. Sorry if I butchered that name. He's an awesome actor. If you guys want, also check him out in an Apple TV series starring Jared Leto. But yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. I think I'd give it like a 9 out of 10. What about you?
Yeah, it hit all marks for me. I'd definitely give it a 9 out of 10. Great revelations, great pacing, music was awesome as well. Um, and great character development in this episode. So yeah, I can't wait till the next episode. Um, yeah, that's my final thoughts for episode 6.
All right, guys. That is our review for The Handmaid's Tale episode 6. Please, if you guys made it to the end, remember to like and share if you're so inclined to, and also check out our other reviews. Again, we're doing Andor every week. We have a lot of fun stuff coming out, a lot of spooky stuff coming out too. God, this month is like really like hardcore spooky stuff. We reviewed a shitload of like gory things, and I was like, that's gonna do something to my mind, right? Like my innocent mind. But yeah, guys, we have a lot of content, and this week we're gonna review Halloween Ends. So Dylan, please take it away.
Yeah, guys, stay tuned for our review for that. We have a lot of great things planned for the rest of the month, and of course November and December as well for our season 4, going into season 5 next year. And thank you so much to our 82 subs on YouTube. We can't thank you enough for your patronage. You know, you're really helping our channel grow. Of course, you can also listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor, as well as YouTube. So you can check out those platforms as well. Of course, we're on Instagram. You can check out clips of our socials as well, and TikTok as well. So thank you guys for tuning in, and until then, under his eye.
Praise be.
Praise be. What if like the commander just like went up to the chin like, thanks for having lunch with us?
I don't know. That's like flattering though for us at least. I'm like,
but
okay.
they respond like, see you guys.